Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Non-League to Legend, the Sugar Daddy, my football manager experiment where I take a tier 9 football team, Deeping Rangers, and give them state-of-the-art training facilities, state-of-the-art youth facilities, a massive new stadium, £100 million, and then just leave them to it and see how far they float up the pyramid. As of last season, they absolutely romped their first season and picked a promotion straight away, and now we're going to have a look to see how they got on in their second season. Well, straight away we can see that apparently second seasons are handled very differently to second albums. There's no difficulty. Old man reference. Albums, that's how we used to buy music. We'd get loads of songs all together on a disc. Ask your parents. But they've gone unbeaten for the season, Deeping Rangers. They've now got a second successive promotion. They've won the 7 League First Division Central. I'm not sure what league that puts them into next year, but they've ended the season with 40 wins and 2 draws from 42 games. Undefeated, 125 as goal difference, 122 points. Only second top goal scorer, but hang about, that's Vincent Janssen. That's a name that should be familiar to everybody. Even I know who he is, mainly because I managed Spurs right at the start of FM17. But still, people who know football will know who he is, presumably. Top 3 players on average ratings, top 2 players for assists, top player for clean sheets. And all in all, a rather good season. If we have a look at the player ratings, which presumably we can do, player overview. There we go. Did we get any other fancy things on here? We're not top of yellow cards. Will Packwood has been on the pitch for 122 goals this season. And 36 wins as well. That's quite an impressive little record. Let's dig into Deeping Rangers in a little bit more detail to have a look at how that season panned out. So if we go into the schedule for the season, that's a lot of green. Goodness me, look at that. They didn't concede a goal until 8 games into the season, and even then they only conceded 5 goals by Christmas. That's quite impressive, isn't it? Knocked out of the FA Cup at the 3rd qualifying round by Chelmsford. That's got to be a bit of a disappointment. Not even making it into the first round proper of the FA Cup. There is an FA Trophy run though. So how far did they go? I mean, look at that. That's just win after win after win. What's that? What's the whatever the Southern League Cup is? They were knocked out the Southern League Cup in the semi-final on penalties by Hereford. But the FA Trophy run continues. Made it all the way to the final where they lost 1-0 to Grimsby. But the important thing is they've picked up another promotion. Let's have a look at the team. See who we recognise from this squad. So players, senior squad. Who have we got in here? Oh, goodness me. Right, we'll come back to that in a minute. We're going to look at transfers. There's some names I recognise in here. Goodness me, they've spent £5 million this summer. So, players that Kev recognises. Adam Chapman, I recognise. Presumably from Gainsborough, maybe, in Non-League to Legend main series. But names everyone will recognise. Tyler Blackett came in on loan. He's played the whole season on loan. Looking at that, went to Reading for £800,000 and then came out on loan to Deeping and played a full season. Gary Madine, I know he plays for Bolton in real life, doesn't he? So left Bolton in League One on a free transfer, signed for Deeping, only played 9 games, got 4 goals. How much is he being paid to play for Deeping Rangers? £21,500 a week to play in non-league. Who else have we got then? Phil Bardsley, 32 years old now, but still, you know, he was playing in the Premier League for Stoke. Played 9 games in the Premier League for Stoke last season. Comes to Deeping on a free transfer the season after. Only played 3 games, but obviously the start of... I mean, that shows the quality of this defence. He came in November and only played 3 games, having come in from the Premier League. Did he get injured? I don't understand why he wouldn't just play. He got a hernia. In fact, there's quite a succession of injuries in there. That explains why he's not played more games than he actually has. Who else have we got? Dara Lenihan, cost £1.8 million. I guess if you're a Blackburn or Villa fan, you know who he is. but a regular-ish in the Championship for a number of years. And he's gone to Deeping for £1.8 million. This is starting to answer some of those questions about what level we think Deeping are gonna settle down at, because these are Championship quality players who are coming in. If they can keep this going, surely they run all the way through to the Championship before I have to step in and take over. Vincent Janssen, though, this is the interesting one, comes in on loan from Tottenham, gets 15 goals in 19 games on loan. Tottenham paid £19 million for him. He scored a goal for him in the Premier League last season before going out on loan to Nice, and then Deeping it him for a year in the Southern League First Division Central. What money is Vincent Janssen on? Only £35,000 a week at Tottenham, just £7,000 a week coming in from Deeping, but that is nuts. Tom Adeyemi, that's another name I recognise. So another established Championship player comes into Deeping. Nathaniel Chalobah, 23 years old now. I mean, how does that happen? He played 20 games in the Premier League for Chelsea and then decides to come to Deeping Rangers, who are paying him £50,000 a week in the Southern League First Division Central. We speculated in the last episode how long Aaron Cole might stick around for, because he's dropped down a few levels. This lad was on the verge of the England squad, surely. He's played 30 games for the under-21s, was having his first season as establishing himself in the Premier League, and then drops all the way down to the Southern League First Division. I don't get the logic, other than the fact that £50,000 a week has been waved in front of him. Paul Gallagher's come in. He's getting on a bit, but was playing in the Championship regularly, now playing for Deeping in non-league. Stuart Downing has come in on a free transfer. And again, I know he's getting on a bit, but was playing in the Premier League last season, was playing in the Championship this season, comes to Deeping, only plays one game. But he's another one who's on a massive pile of cash. Bettinelli, I've signed him before for Everton, I think, at the start of FM17. Was playing in the Championship for Fulham, now playing for Deeping. This is insane. So it seems they're quite capable of attracting a few players. What's interesting, though, is they're not so hot at keeping hold of their own youngsters. So although they can convince Nathaniel Chalobah to come in from Chelsea, aged only 23, they can't keep hold of James Wallace, who's a 17-year-old striker, came through the Deeping youth team, played 8 games for them last year, but has now gone to West Brom for an absolute steal at £135,000. And likewise, Bobby Windrum has gone to Wigan for even less money. He's an attacking midfielder who, again, came through the youth team. And they can't keep hold of these youngsters. Now, I don't know if that means there are better youngsters who they're more worried about keeping hold of, and these are the ones who are never going to get in the team anyway when there's this kind of player arriving, or whether these are the absolute best of the best of the youth team that's come through, and they can't keep hold of them. I guess there's an easy way to figure that out, because we can have a look at the youth. If we go back to last season's youth maybe, and see if any of these people are still at the club and if they're playing games. In fact, he's an example of, oh no, he's gone out on loan. Interesting. Let's have a look at the squad and see if any of these are those kids. Sort it by appearances. These are, we want to put age on there so we can see who the youngsters are. Sort it by age. Sort it by age. So, no, none of the kids are at the club. That is interesting. Very interesting. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the youth stuff. If we have a look at competitions, they are obviously starting to get quite a blossoming trophy cabinet. So in addition to the United Counties League Premier League last season and the English Under-23s and the United Counties League Knockout Cup all last year and the FA Vars last year, they've now got a runners-up in the FA Trophy and a winner's medal in the Southern League First Division Central. Is the same manager still in charge? Scott Porter, is he the guy who's... I can't imagine... Yeah, he's the guy who's been there all the way through. How much longer does someone like him stay at the club? Because back-to-back promotions, surely teams start to look at him. Ryan Genders is the hot prospect. Let's keep an eye on that name. And we'll judge this time next year whether Ryan Genders was still at the club or whether he's gone for £100,000 to a Championship team. the way the other two did as well. Interesting. Very interesting. So, we now holiday for another season. We see if the unbeaten run continues, see if the back-to-back-to-back promotions can happen. And remember, the idea of this is as soon as they get to the point where they're stuck in a division for 3 years, let's say. So we'll give them a couple of years to get through each division. But if they're in a division for the 3rd season, that's when we step in, we move the save to Twitch, and I become the manager and we take over from there. Let me know down in the comments if there's any other stuff you'd like me to check out in the next episode. I want to keep it quite specific to Deeping Rangers at the moment. We're only 2 seasons in. There's not much value in checking out who won the Premier League and all that kind of stuff, unless you particularly want to see it. But if there's stuff about Deeping that I'm missing out, let me know down in the comments. If you've enjoyed that episode, please pop a like on there for me. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. And thank you very much for watching.